Here it is! Every year I do the Leafs prospect pyramid. It's a little pyramid made of prospects. And every year I explain it, and I'm gonna do it again. Instead of looking at the Leafs prospect pool and ranking everyone like 1 through 20 or whatever, we just do tiers. Tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then everybody else, because I'm not gonna list everybody. This year I'm gonna try to be a little more quick and dirty about it, because it's usually just way too long. And also, I think I figured something out to make it a little better. Because we have tiers 1 through 5, but also we need 2 more categories that sit just outside the pyramid. Those 2 categories both start with a G. Grads and guys. Grads are grads. Guys who don't belong on the prospect pyramid anymore because they're Leafs. At minimum, they played more games with the Leafs last year than they didn't. And then there's guys. Guys who are in your system, but they're not prospects. Some of them are like 25, 26, and they're fine. And they might graduate to the team, and they might play some games, and they're not really, no. Take Bobby McMann, for example. That dude was on the Marlies last year, and then he turned into a full-time Leaf. That's a grad. Before he graduated, though, he was a guy. Couldn't really call him Leafs prospect Bobby McMann. Arbitrarily, after the age of like 25, no, guy. In terms of grads, here's what we got. Matthew Knies. 15 goals, 20 assists, 35 points in 80 games with the Leafs. That's so many games last year, plus another 2 goals and 1 assist in 7 playoff games against the Bruins, including an OT winner en route to coming back in Game 5 and setting up William Nylander to win Game 6. Matthew Knies and the other guys on this list are part of the reason why I don't think the Leafs prospect system's that bad. It could be better, and it's probably on the bottom half of the NHL, but they've made the playoffs every single year for the last bunch of years, and a lot of teams in that position don't have the deepest pools. But whenever the Leafs get a good prospect, they usually graduate them. Matthew Knies being a recent example. Or even take Rasmus Sandin, for example, a late first-round pick. He graduates to be with the Leafs. He's not on the Leafs anymore. They trade him for another late first-round pick. And oh, that's Easton Cowan, who it's looking like is going to be a grad next year. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Matthew Knies, grad. Nick Robertson, surprisingly maybe, grad. I forgot he actually played 9 AHL games last year. 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points. But in the NHL last year, 56 games played, 14 goals, 13 assists, 27 points. And based on what we've seen in the preseason so far, he could get 20 goals this year if he plays in the lineup, which isn't even a given. He's a wild, weird player. Brad, you might have forgot this, Joseph Woll. It's true though, last year was his first full season in the NHL. A surprisingly not great record of 12-11-1 in 25 games, but he had a .907 save percentage, really good start, and then he got hurt, and then you know the story. His playoff stats are very funny. He had a 2-0 record, a .964 save percentage, and a goals against average of 0.86. Yeah, he's pretty good. Grad. Bobby McMann, 15 goals, 9 assists for 24 points in 56 games, which doesn't sound that incredible until you remember he was like a healthy scratch 4th liner for a big chunk of that, until one game he went off, and then they let him do it again, and he still went off, and they're like, oh, maybe he's just good. On 12.7% shooting, which isn't even like overly ridiculous, and playing just 11 minutes and 34 seconds a game. He might be in the top 6 this year. It's wild. And the last grad I have on this list, Pontus Holmberg. Another guy who I didn't realize played in the AHL last year. 11 AHL games, 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points. Got into the lineup mostly as a bottom sixer, although he was Matthews and Marner's winger for like a week. Anyway, 7 goals, 10 assists, 17 points in 54 games. Then there's guys. They are prospective Leafs, but they're not prospects. Mostly they're just tools. Alex Steeves, he might be a Leaf. He was good in the Leafs organization last year. He's a guy in 65 games with the Marlies last season, 27 goals, 30 assists for 57 points. That is pretty good. 1 NHL game. Cedric Paré. I don't know. Am I allowed to say that name out loud without getting like poutine thrown at me? I'm recording this video the day after that game. It's, wow. Anyway, guy, unlike Alex Steeves, Paré is waivers exempt. I was surprised by that. Played last season with the Colorado Eagles, 14 goals, 21 assists for 35 points in 61 AHL games, 6'4", 212. Is he willing to fight? Not if you're Arbor Jacki, which, to be honest, that's just a good idea. Nick Abruzzese, a guy who's been on this prospect pyramid a bunch of times. He's too old now. He's a guy. A pretty good guy, though. In 71 AHL games, 16 goals, 36 assists, playmaker, 52 points. Dakota Mermis, he's a depth left-handed defenseman. defenseman. He played almost 50 games with Minnesota last year. He's going to start the season injured, though. Philippe Myers, he requires waivers as well. 4 goals, 19 assists, 23 points in 61 AHL games last season. 158 games played in the NHL, though. And waivers exempt Nicholas Montinen, the former Leafs prospect who is now a Leafs guy, because they drafted him and had him and then let him go, and then he went to Germany and he was pretty good, and now he's back. As a right-handed defenseman, 16 goals, 30 assists, 46 points in 52 games in the German league last year. 6'5", 224. There's a lot to like there, but guy! Now, prospect pyramid. Tier 1. Who is in Tier 1? No one. Your Tier 1 guys are your guaranteed superstars. You're guaranteed this dude is money in the bank to put up 80, 90, 100 points a year. The first year I did the prospect pyramid, I messed up because I had Austin Matthews Tier 1, William Nylander, and Mitch Marner both Tier 2, because that's how stacked the Leafs prospect pool was at the time. Realistically, Matthews is Tier 1, obviously. Marner probably should have been Tier 1, and you could definitely make an argument that William Nylander should have been Tier 1 as well. Does the Leaf system currently have any guys like that right now? No. And that's okay. Lots of teams don't have a Tier 1 prospect in their system. You got to be really bad and draft really, really well. I am going to put a guy in Tier 2, though, and I've been very picky about who I put in Tier 2, but he's that good. Easton Cowan, I have as the Leafs' only player in Tier 2. Over the past couple years, so this includes the year that Cowan played leading up to the Leafs drafting him, and then after. Regular season, points per game with the London Knights in the OHL, 0.779. And that playoff, right before the Leafs drafted him, 1.05. This past year in the regular season, 1.777, only to be topped in the playoffs when he was 1.888. Last year, you could argue he was one of the best players in junior. This year, he has to be in the conversation, top 10, top 5 players in all of junior hockey. He was on Team Canada last year. Cool. Didn't make a ton of noise. This year, he's got to be like mainstay. It'd be great if he was on there with Fraser Minten. I'm going to put these up next to each other. These are the Hockey DB pages of Mitch Marner and Easton Cowan compared to one another, just looking at their junior numbers. Obviously, Marner's are better. They're better, and oh my gosh, was he a monster in the OHL playoffs back in the day. Is Cowan Marner? No. No, but Marner set a preposterous standard when he was in the OHL. But it's kind of wild how close Cowan is. He's closer than anyone would have predicted when he was drafted with the 28th overall pick. The kid's real good. I don't think the kid's going to make the team. I think he needs to go to junior and absolutely wreck shop. Moving on to Tier 3, I have 3 players. Funny enough, a forward, a defender, and a goalie. Fraser Minten I have in Tier 2. Now, after starting the season with the Leafs last year, 4 games played, he had a disappointing season. A lot of that is injury, obviously. He only played 36 games in the WHL last year, but 19 goals, 19 assists for 38 points in those 36 games. Okay. Then when the playoffs came around, 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points in 16 games. It'd be really, really nice if he played more games this year, had a bigger impact in those games, and ideally had a bigger impact for Team Canada. Tier 3, this is going to seem like he gets the first round pick shine, but I'm going to put Ben Danford here. I think we'd be talking a lot more about Ben Danford in this training camp in this preseason if he didn't get hurt right at the beginning. But at 18 years old, Ben Danford already has 127 OHL games played under his belt as a steady stay-at-home defenseman. If you include his playoff games played, that's up to 153, still a teen. He very notably only had 1 goal in 64 games last season, which everyone noticed when you used a first-round pick on him. But hilariously, when the playoffs showed up, he had 4 goals in 21 games. That would be back-to-back years that the Leafs drafted a guy who had a ho-hum regular season, but rocked it in the playoffs, just like Easton Cowan. Speaking of Easton Cowan, I bet Ben Danford is really happy to be in the same organization as him, because Danford's Oshawa Generals and Cowan's London Knights met in the OHL playoffs last year. Cowan's London Knights beat the Generals 8-1, 9-1, 7-6, almost had him, and 7-1. Anyway, ideally, Danford recovers quickly. He goes to Oshawa. Oshawa should have a very good team, and he continues to progress. Does he get on Team Canada's radar? My hope is he's at least invited to camp. In Tier 3, in net, I'm going to put Dennis Hildeby. I'm that high on him. I mean, visually, you saw him in the preseason. He looks hilarious in net. 6'7", 223 pounds. Last year in 41 games played with the Toronto Marlies, he had a record of 21, 11, and 7 with a .913 save percentage. His .913 save percentage was 13th in the entire American Hockey League, and it was the 4th highest save percentage among goalies with 40 or more games played in the AHL. He was an AHL All-Star. He's looked great in the preseason too. I really, really like this goal. And you know what? No. We have 4 players in Tier 3. I scribbled it out. Nikita Grabenkin. Let me tell you something. 6'2", 209. Yeah, buddy. 19 goals, 22 assists for 41 points in 67 KHL games this past season. Second in scoring on Metallurg Magnitogorsk, only behind first-round pick of the Minnesota Wild, Danila Yurov. 2 years ago, he was the KHL Rookie of the Year with Amur Khabarovsk. Now, this is very inside baseball KHL. They do not care about that hockey team. So Grabenkin was part of Metallurg Magnitogorsk, but he was loaned to Amur Khabarovsk. You know how much this kid wanted it? Do you know how far Khabarovsk, Russia, is from Magnitogorsk? Magnitogorsk, which is already in the Eastern Conference of Russia in the KHL. Well, I looked it up. It is a 6,786 kilometer drive, which, in case you're wondering, takes 89 hours by car. The next year, he won the Gagarin Cup as a KHL champion with Metallurg Magnitogorsk. Dude, I love this kid. He looked real good early in the preseason. He's lost his shine a little bit, but let's see if he gets it back in the final 2 games. Tier 4, starting it off a little lackluster, Roni Hirven. And I say that because second round pick, he should be in this conversation. Why isn't he in Tier 3? Well, he got absolutely demolished last summer, and it ruined his whole season, basically. Only got into 37 games with the Toronto Marlies, 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 points. Meh. But he's only 22, and I think this year, his sophomore season in the AHL, he'll be better. If he's not, he risks falling off the list entirely. Another Finnish prospect for the Leafs, Topi Niemela, right-handed defender. They need those. One of the big knocks on him is how undersized he is, but now he's listed at 6 feet tall, 181 pounds. That is bang average. At worst, it's on the low side of bang average, which I guess would take out the bang. It's just average. Real solid AHL rookie year. 8 goals, 31 assists for 39 points in 68 games, plus 3 as a right-handed defender. That is a good thing to have in the organization. In an organization that is all of a sudden kind of flush with those, like at least in terms of depth. Also in Tier 4, another defender, sneaky good pick. I think Leaf fans are going to learn more and more about Noah Chadwick. 2023 6th rounder. So if you haven't heard of him, you can be forgiven. 6'4", 207. I have your attention. 12 goals, 44 assists, 56 points in 66 WHL games. Steve, didn't you say he's a defender? Yes, I did. Didn't you also say he's huge? Yes, I did. Chadwick's already been sent back to the WHL. He's got to have a great season for the Lethbridge Hurricanes. In net, Artur Akhtyumov. I've been talking about this goalie for a while. I really like him. Split last season between the KHL and the VHL, which is sort of like the AHL for the KHL. You keep it up. In the KHL, he had a record of 6-7-0, 921 save percentage. We like the save percentage. In the VHL, he did very well. 10 wins. Did I say 6 goals earlier? I don't know. It's too late. We're moving on. A record of 10-5-4 with a 927 save percentage. You were not beating him in the VHL. I guess the question for me is, where does he play? I think the Leafs organization is going to try to let him dominate games in the ECHL, but they might keep him in the AHL. It is not unusual for an AHL team to carry 3 goalies for at least some time. Staying in Tier 4, he was just drafted in the 4th round. Raised some eyebrows. Victor Johansson. The reason eyebrows were raised is because he's 6 feet tall. We like that. And he was drafted at like 140 pounds. Making the NHL like that as a forward would be extremely difficult. As a defender, what? Now, did you know that EliteProspects.com will tell you who a player's dad, brothers, cousins, everything, family members are? Not like if they're an accountant or something like that. If they also have an Elite Prospects page, they'll tell you. So, is Victor Johansson going to stay 140 pounds forever? Well, no. First of all, Elite Prospects already lists him as 159 pounds. But also, his dad, Thomas Johansson, 203 pounds. His brother, Simon, 194 pounds. And his other brother, Anton, 196. Sometimes we forget when we draft these teeny tiny children that they are teeny tiny children and they will grow. As a defender, he will have to. But this year, he's actually had a great start in Sweden. Last year, he played 34 games with their under 20 program. 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points. This year, he's back in that program. A goal, 10 assists for 11 points in 10 games. Yes, they have already played 10 games. They start early over there. That is Really good, really encouraging. Last member of Tier 4, and I'm going with my gut on this one, Nick Moldenauer. Played right wing last year with U of Michigan. Again, a little undersized, 5'10", $170, but that team was good, and so was he. 8 goals, 13 assists, 21 points in 41 games with the University of Michigan. That doesn't jump off the page at you, but if you look at the guys ahead of him in scoring on the University of Michigan, dude, that team was really good. I'm betting on Moldenauer to get a bigger role with the University of Michigan because a bunch of the guys who were ahead of him in scoring last year have graduated or will graduate to playing pro. Frank Nazar of the Chicago Blackhawks, very high pick. He's gone. Rutger McGroarty, he's gone. Nick Moldenauer, remember the name. Now, Tier 5, we can kind of speed round this. Miroslav Halinka, noted Alan Walsh client. Goal and an assist in his WHL debut this year after playing in Czechia last year. Onye tade, ten kluk je dobry. Miroslav Halinka. I'm learning Czech on Duolingo for some reason. No, Rob, I'm not going to translate it for you. Do it yourself. I'm sorry. This is a bit of a weird pick, but I'm putting Ty Voigt. Small player, but like, he was really killed it in the OHL. Excited for him to turn pro. He goes to the ECHL. He tears it up. Goes to the AHL. Bang. Injured first game. Hope he comes back strong because, man, this kid can score. Mikko Kokkonen, a defender with the Toronto Marlies. He's 23 years old, left-handed shot. It's nothing against him. He's been decent in the AHL. Maybe a future bottom pairing guy. There's just not a high ceiling. William Villeneuve, you can kind of throw into a similar conversation, except he's a righty. He's a year younger, decent enough depth option, and all of a sudden, there's a bunch of right-handed shots on the Marlies. Their defensive situation is actually kind of nice. In net, we have Timofey Obvintsev. Really good start in the MHL, which is basically like KHL Junior. He's 3-1 with a .927 save percentage. Alexander Plasovsky, he was a draft pick this year for the Leafs. Good start in the MHL. 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points in 8 games. We like a point-a-game player. This one's a bit of a hunch in Hudson Malinowski. Lit it up in AJHL. It's a good Junior A league out in the West. Then he didn't score as much when he got to Providence College, but if you look at the team, not a ton of people scored. Somewhat similar to Nick Moldenauer. I'm hoping a year's more experience, he gets a bigger role, and he lights it up. Last player of Tier 5, I'm going to go Braden Kressler. Not a Leafs draft pick. They signed him as a free agent. He's kind of a little guy, 5'9", $174. But after missing a ton of games, it's like he signed that contract and immediately started getting hurt all the time. But then last year, he played 65 games. Did he do well? Yes, he did. 26 goals. 46 assists, 74 points in the OHL last year, and in the playoffs, 6 goals, 2 assists for 8 points in 10 postseason games. Unlike the college kids I just talked about, Kressler is turning pro. What do you got, kid? And lastly, the final tier is everybody else. If there is a player in the Leafs organization that hasn't been mentioned yet in this video, they're not gonna get mentioned. Does that mean they're not gonna make the NHL? Does that mean they suck at hockey? No, it doesn't mean either of those things. It just means right now, I don't have them very high up in the Leafs organizational depth chart. So, what'd you think of the 2024 prospect pyramid? Let me know in the comment box down below. Is there anyone that's too high? Is there anyone that's too low? Is there anyone that I'm sleeping on? For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. On October 15th, Hockey Rants and Raves, my second book, is coming out. And I want you to enjoy it. I want you to love it. I want you to, I don't know, get it for yourself or a friend or your family or all of those. And they all need 3 copies each.